Baruch Hashem, it is Monday. We are fasting. It's Tanis Esther. Tanis Esther is the fast of Hastara Shabbatay Hastara. Esther was a mystery. Aster Panai. I mean, we're dealing here with a Roya ve'ena nira. We're dealing with a situation that is it's so darkistic, it's so thin, it's so refined that it has to show up. You can only see it when the contrast is like a black light. You know, when you turn on a black light and you see all the everything, the stains. You see, that's when you see. That's when you can see the dust. You know, when the sun is out and you look up into the sky, you can see the particles and all that. So it has to be very, very thin, very refined. This light is very refined, and then it can pick up the other side of it. So this is what this fast is going into Tanis Esther. This is a very powerful fast. It's a very powerful fast for those who can fast, and for those who can't, you're still tuning into it the way you do, the way you are, and being mindful that it's a fast today, and holding space for that. So I want to talk about the core, right? You know, there's many ways of doing. Everybody here is doing amazing work and trying to figure out where does my sadness come from, my itzavan, which is verhacktkeit, like a bitterness, a sourness. You wake up in the morning and there is a certain like a certain angst, it's a certain pain in the chest, or you see somebody doing something, or you're struggling with a child, or child with a father, and there's a certain aggressiveness, there's a certain, like, we can't see it from a place of compassion, because I don't have compassion for myself, because what's holding you in the center of the chest, what's holding you at the center point of gravity, is that nachash. It's the nachash, it's Amalek, that happened. We tapped into this when Adam Erishin, which is all of us, when we ate from the Eitz Hadas, Toy Vera, when we ate from the Eitz Hadas, that's when we went into the snake skin. And also when Chava was with the Nachash, with the snake, so we went in, we are in the snake, in the skin of the snake. So there's a certain, it bites, the skin is a certain texture that you can't help yourself. We're stuck in it. Now, you can do the work, but we have higher technology that we can get to the source and the core of the work. So how does this work? So we're going to talk about, we mentioned yesterday about achila, about food, eating. So let's go, we'll talk about fasting and eating the Seder tomorrow and tonight, breaking the fast, and Bechlal, food. But today is the day of fasting, and then we're going into the eating. So what is happening over there? That's going to be the tikkun of Pagam Achila. It goes every Yom Tov, but Befrat now in Purim. So the Vart Dazoi, everything has a koyach, like a motherboard. It has a cloud, a consciousness that holds space for it, that pulses and feeds that vibration. Okay? Which is brought down in Hasidus and in Kabbalah, that every grass has a mazel that hits it and says grow. So we are all, everything is the wheels, there's Olam HaGalgalim, there's wheels, it's moving, it's feeling, of course, there's levels and layers. We have a level that goes above that overrides the mazel, all the astrology and all that stuff. We override that system, but there is a process in that too, that we are in that consciousness. We have to bring a bitter and tikkun to that too. When we need to, we go above that, but we have to stay focused, we have to stay in it. So everything has its consciousness. Now, there's different levels of that. There is little guys, bigger guys, just like in a regular, in a corporation or in an army, you have the soldiers and then the generals and the higher up until the top. Now, the core of what feeds food, there is a malach that's memuna on the achila. He's the one that is he sits on top of the food. He's the memuna on that. That involves shefa, the level of shefa that comes into Veld, parnasa, the way flow goes, if you're a writer, if you're a singer, if you're a creator, if you're anything, cooking a good, cooking creative dinners, being creative with what you tell your kids or what they tell you, everything comes from this malach, this shefa. Okay, what does that mean? There's an Eibishter, but then he has different manifestations that he put in place so it can be translated into the language that we speak. Because we don't speak his language at the highest level. We don't. You'll fry your brain in a second. It's like sitting by a tish, by a rebbe, for more than 7 hours. I mean, your brain goes crazy. Okay, so sitting by Gemara here, it's going to break your head. So, so everything has to be in moderation, so it can be translated. So this malach is Mamuna. Now, he is the highest vibration because he brings Shefa he feeds the 70 nations, which is, you have the 70 Sarim, there is the 70 nations, each nation has their Malach, their Sar, their president, that he brings Shefa to them. Okay, that's why we can see that different presidents, the economy changes, because even now in the modern times where everything is corrupted and there's no real power, but even though you have different parties, different sides that they feed more this way, they feed more that way. So this is all, if you look at it in physical, it looks like the right side and the left side. But then when you look at it in the higher conscience, it's the sar that's being fed from the main malach that feeds all that. Now, there's two ways we can give koyach to this, or we can weaken this malach hamamuna. We can give koyach, or we can weaken it. How do we give koyach? We give koyach to it by eating clean food. What clean food means, I'm not getting into that. Clean food means, besides eating healthy food and eating kosher food, of course, it also means the intention, how it's eaten, the intention, how the process and all that good stuff, and what you do with the food. Which means that you're strengthening the pulse by eating mindful. You're giving him back more koyach, you're giving him feedback from the ground down. He's up there in the billions of miles away, and we are down here, and you're sending back signals. Sending it back good, doing kindness, mitamol. You eat, and 20 people are happy because you're saying, you're talking, you're communicating, you're in a good mood. Your kids, your children go to school, and other kids give them koyach and courage. Mitamol, there's mass, and that strengthens the pulse of that koyach, of that malach, and he's able to give us more shefa with toikev, with power, with force. What's the problem? The problem is that you think that your problems and your shortcomings and your pain started because mommy, tati, abuse, and all that good stuff. That is on the lower level. Remember, on what language do you understand the language? On what level do you understand the language? The Megillah, how do you read your Megillah? Okay, but really what's happening over here is, what triggered l'katchila that there should be pain? What triggered l'katchila that there should be abuse? Where does that come from? Who was the first abuser? Where did it start from? What came first, the chicken or the egg? So we finally know what came first. What came first is that we ate from the Eitz Hadas. The minute that we ate from the Eitz Hadas, we stepped into a toivera program, something that was swing, yin yang. It goes in and out, sfekis, certainty and uncertainty. And this is where the Gezerah came out, that beitzovan toichlu toichlenu. Which means that it's going to be a certain verhaktkeit. We entered in a bubble. We walked into a cloud, a room that it's dark and it has a squeeze and it pinches. That was from the Eitz Hadas, Toivera. Now, I want to get back. I don't want to forget. I want to get back to what the purpose of that was, of the Toivera, what the purpose was of the Eitz Hadas. Okay? What the purpose was of the Eitz Hadas, Toivera, Hamamana Toivera Manai. So if I forget, whoever listens is going to remind me. Okay? And we'll be on the next one. So what happens is now that we are stuck over here, that we ate from the Eitz Hadas, and we started from this painful process of feeding ourselves from pain. Now, what happens is, remember we used to talk a lot about this, that even when you, in the middle of the day, if you have to eat 1:30, 12 o'clock lunch, let's just say 1:30 you want to eat your lunch, and you say, let me just take care of these few things before I'm going to eat, because so I can eat calm. And then 1:30 turns into 2:30, 3:30, 4 o'clock, you're already, your sugar levels are all down, and now you're already, you cuckoo, okay? If somebody calls you at that moment, he gets a left hand. All right, if it's your wife, your kid, or husband to wife, whatever it is, there's a bark, there's an outburst, and what happens is that now you come home and you're not in flow, you're not connected. There's hostility, there's pain. What happens is that from this malach, they became a yanikim, which means as follows: our whole koich hamadama, our way of thinking, our illusion, our imaginary mind is everything that we create comes from the imaginary mind. I have to think it, I have to desire it, I have to imagine it, and then I can manifest it. It's called the koich hamadama. Now, this koich hamadama is our koich hamadama is from the nefesh habahamis, which is that in my behema mind, which means that the way I think when I'm 8 years old and the way I think when I'm 28 years old is two ways of thinking. We hope so. That is thinking from the behema. Now, this behema it's the lowest level of imagination because it's behema world. It's my physical. I think that I want um, a nice, I don't know what to say. I don't want to go off anywhere, but I want something that I want to have a nice. I want to throw a nice party. I want to do something. So my koich hamadama is stuck in ego. It's stuck in yeshus. It's stuck in doubt, embarrassment. I want to connect. What are they going to say? I want to fit in. I want to fit in. So I'm stressing myself. I'm draining myself. I need to do this so I can fit in. So people won't think. So I won't think in my head that people think that I'm an A, B, or C, but really nobody cares because you don't care. So nobody cares. So it's just an illusion, and that is called Yanike. And that what happens then is that instead of being yonik from the malach, we create a shed, we create a ghost, we create a almost like it's a ruach, it's nothing, it's an illusion. And when we're yearning from that, that's when all the trouble starts. So we start living off of fumes. We're living off of an illusion of something of a non-existent reality. We're living off of a non-existent reality because the malach, I'm not eating from a clean place. I don't have the right intentions. And so now, mostly, let's go back to not eating on time. The most important thing is that we want to be mafarnas the shivim imas. The 70 masters, we want to give them supply. We don't want to wait for them to give us. Because remember, we are the supplier. The Malach HaKadosh, he's the supplier. The Malach that's Munah Mechila, he's the supplier. So what does that look like? So if a person goes a few hours when he needs to eat and doesn't eat, that means that you are already creating a disconnect. You're not eating a pure food because you're already stressed out. Now you're already at your attention span is at the lowest level. You're already nervous. You're angry, which means you activated lower level behema, and now you're feeding that behema, and now you have koich to put up a good fight with whoever you're standing up against, and that is the shed. That is not the malach. I hope this is clear. Listen, we'll, one more time. The fuel that you put into the car, the type of car it is, that's the car that's going to be driving. If it's a car a Tesla, if it's a truck, if it's a plane, whatever fuel you put it into the car, that's what's going to be driving. The food that I eat, that's how I'm going to feel. If I eat candy, I'm going to feel candy. If I eat meat, then I'm going to have a different koich. If I drink a juice, a fresh squeezed vegetable, kale juice, then that's the koich that I'm going to have. The mindset that I'm in, what I'm feeding it at that time, that's what's going to be driving. That's what's going to be showing up. So you better make sure when you eat, you're eating kosher food, which means kosher food means to be present and to be mindful and taking care of yourself. And by eating at a time that you're not mindful and you're in a spin and you're in a squeeze, then you're feeding that and you're just giving more koyach to you creating the shed. So it tells us, the Svarim HaKadoshim tells us as follows. Haman min ha-Torah menayin. How do we find Haman? Where it is, because he was eating from Hamina Eitz Hazeh Teufel. He asked him, Hamina Eitz Hazeh, he ate from this tree. The Eibishter asked all the Moshe, he ate from this tree. Okay? Now, we, by starving, taking a day and creating a fast, by going into the fast, we are suffocating the shed. We're suffocating the illusion. You're pulling yourself out. You're pulling yourself out from wherever the energy was trapped in, from wherever you've been expanded. It's almost like a rubber glove, and you blow in, and you have the 5 fingers. They expand. They become alive. So too, the energies that we have from our behemoth that we were trapped in by eating the food, we go in and now we're trapped in 5 or 10 different fingers that our energies are invested in, not trapped, invested in. They're invested in, and you're stuck in there. You can't get yourself out. No matter what, you can't get yourself out. He said, she said, I said, there's always going to be something, or getting up in the morning and just looking for a reason to why I have anxiety. By doing the fast, we are pulling the energy back. We're taking back what's ours by saying no, because the shed is he's a low frequency. He pulls. He's yonik. He pulls. He drains the energy. By telling him no, as Kafi, saying you are not getting this, he dies. Because if he doesn't get what he needs, he can't sustain himself on his own. He has no toichen on his own. Your fight that you're arguing with, the place that you're stuck, your stuckness that you're stuck in, has no logic to it. There's nothing there. The minute you pull back, you're just going to die. It's being fed by a constant feed of the existence that we're in, from this Eitz Hadas that we ate. So by fasting, we're pulling back, we're taking back what's ours, and that falls down, that drains. It goes down all the way to the bottom. And this is also how we kill the klippa. We don't negotiate with it. No negotiations. You kill it. And then we start eating. So tonight and tomorrow is a day of mishta, achila, mishta, which we're eating. And we're eating. How do we eat? What's the other side of the tzavon of the fahaktkeit, of being depressed and feeling this angst and this anxiety? The other side of that is simcha. That is the antidote to that. That is simcha. That's when you get back to your vibration, by tapping into simcha. Okay? Now, no, I have to go back to what the whole thing of look at Chila, the Eitz Hadas, because we're giving is Pagam Pirim is the tikkun of Eitz Hadas. Which means that, but when we ate from the Eitz Hadas, we corrupted the top level of Moichem, which means our thinking process. And Moichem is Chachma, right? Chachma is the right brain, which is beyond logic, which you're trapped. You can't think beyond logic because we're lacking Emunah. Who's responsible for that? Amalek, because Amalek is Reishis Goyim Amalek. Amalek is top level. He is Chachma. He's the Nazi. Yimach Shemam v'Zichram. The Nazi he's a sophisticated scientist, super sophisticated. I mean, he makes products that, it's almost as good as the shtickle, Chassidus. Of those. Allah of those. But bottom line is, he's Reishis Goyim Amalek, which means that he is hanging out right on top over there. Haman is Amalek. So when we ate from the Eitz Hadas, we corrupted our Chachma, got trapped, which means that it's almost not possible to get out of it, because he touched us at the top level. Now, why was this necessary? Why did we need to go through this process? Why, look at Chila, was there Eitz Hadas Toivera? Why did we have to do this? Because technically speaking, Noira Lila B'nai Adam, it was a setup. Adam didn't really eat from it. He was set up. It was a setup. Of course, it was a setup because the Eibishter is everything. He runs everything and he decides everything. So, what does it mean he did? How did we get out of the program? Is there a place in the world that there is a space that I can just find myself out of it? Is there a way that I'm not in the program, that I have my own boss? The answer is no. So then what was the purpose of it? The purpose of it because this is the master Piramspiel. This is the master Piramspiel because remember, everything has to hold up against something else. If I hold my right hand up, I need to have my left hand balancing against it, so to speak, in energy speaking, in Welt speaking. Everything has to have contrast. Otherwise, I can't see the particles. I can't see the particles on the thin layers of dust. I need a black light. I need the sun so I can see the dust. Without that, I can't see it. So we're talking here about a revelation of godliness, of Eibishter, of Yechida, of oneness. Everything is fully recognizing that Enel Mavadoi, that everything is Eibishter and everything is it. It is everything. So in order for us to chaper on such a high level, to get to a place of Adelayada, is when we need a contrast. We need something on the other side of that, which is the klippa of Chachma, which is Amalek. It's powerful stuff, Chavre. This is Reb Nachman. Wow. Yeah. So that gives us the koyach to. That was the Eitz Hadas. That's the Eitz Hadas, and that's why that's Purim, and that's why we're fasting to suffocate the klippa, and then going back to the other side of it, and then we're going to Achila Shtia. We're going to eat and we're going to dance with simcha, eating, dancing, and this is how you're turning it over. V'nahapachu. This is how we'll flip it over. Now, the reason Haman picked Rosh Chodesh Adar. Okay, we'll go into another one.